Beneath the endless golden sands of Egypt, where the wind whispers across ancient stone, and the Nile flows like a silent witness to eternity, there lies a truth far darker than the monuments we admire today. A truth buried not just in tombs, but in fear, obsession, and secrets that were never meant to be uncovered, because ancient Egypt was not only a civilization of gods and glory, it was also a civilization haunted by death, control, and an unrelenting desire to conquer the unknown. And the deeper we go, the more unsettling it becomes. It all began thousands of years ago, when scattered tribes along the fertile banks of the Nile slowly transformed into something greater, drawn together by the rhythm of the river, its floods dictating life itself, bringing both abundance and destruction, forcing early Egyptians to develop systems of cooperation, agriculture, and order, until eventually, under a ruler remembered as Nama, Upper and Lower Egypt were united into a single kingdom, marking the birth of one of history's most powerful empires. But even in its earliest days, power was not simply taken, it was declared divine, because the pharaoh was not just a king, he was a living god, the embodiment of Horus on earth, a figure beyond question, beyond challenge. And this belief became the foundation of a society built on absolute obedience, where every person, from the highest priest to the lowest laborer, existed within a rigid hierarchy that served one ultimate purpose: the preservation of order, or ma'at, against the chaos that threatened to consume everything. And yet, beneath this ideal of harmony, a darker reality unfolded, because maintaining order required control, and control demanded sacrifice. As the Old Kingdom rose to prominence, Egypt entered an era of astonishing ambition, constructing monuments so massive they still defy explanation today. The pyramids, towering structures aligned with the stars, built not just as tombs but as gateways to eternity, symbols of a ruler's journey into the afterlife. But these wonders came at an immense human cost, as thousands of workers labored relentlessly under the scorching sun, hauling stone blocks that weighed tons, their lives consumed by a project that would never benefit them. And although modern research suggests many were not slaves in the traditional sense, their existence was still one of hardship, discipline, and sacrifice, all in service of a king who would ascend to godhood while they remained forgotten beneath the sands. Because in ancient Egypt, death was not the end, it was the beginning of something far more terrifying, a journey through the underworld where the soul would face judgment before Osiris, its heart weighed against the feather of Ma'at, and if found unworthy, it would be devoured by a monstrous creature, erased from existence forever. This belief drove an obsession with preservation unlike anything the world had ever seen, leading to the ritual of mummification, a process both sacred and disturbing, where bodies were meticulously prepared for eternity, organs removed and stored in canopic jars, the brain extracted through the nose, the flesh dried with natron, and the corpse wrapped in layers of linen, each step accompanied by prayers and incantations, as if death itself could be negotiated, controlled, perhaps even defeated. But could it? Or were these rituals born from a deeper fear, a fear so powerful it shaped an entire civilization? As centuries passed, Egypt evolved, entering the Middle Kingdom and later the New Kingdom, periods of expansion, wealth, and cultural brilliance, where trade routes extended across distant lands, bringing gold, incense, exotic animals, and knowledge from Nubia, Punt, and beyond. Cities flourished, temples grew more elaborate, and art reached new heights of sophistication. Yet beneath this prosperity, the machinery of power continued to tighten its grip, because wealth needed protection, and protection required armies. And so Egypt became not just a land of farmers and builders, but of warriors, men trained to fight, to defend, and to conquer. And under rulers like Thutmose III, often called the Napoleon of ancient Egypt, the empire expanded aggressively, securing territories and crushing rebellions with calculated precision, his campaigns extending Egypt's influence deep into the Near East. But every victory came with bloodshed, and every conquest planted the seeds of future conflict. And then there was Ramses II, perhaps the most iconic pharaoh of all, a man who ruled for over 60 years, leaving behind monuments so grand they were meant to immortalize him forever. temples carved into cliffs, statues towering over landscapes, inscriptions declaring his unmatched power. Yet behind this carefully crafted image was a ruler deeply concerned with legacy, even rewriting history to portray himself as victorious in battles that were, at best, inconclusive, like the famous Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, where propaganda transformed a near disaster into a story of triumph, revealing a truth often hidden behind stone carvings, that power is not just enforced through strength, but through narrative. And while some pharaohs sought to strengthen tradition, others dared to challenge it, none more so than Akhenaten, the enigmatic ruler who abandoned the old gods in favor of a single deity, the Aten, the sun disk, attempting to reshape Egyptian religion entirely, closing temples, erasing names of other gods, and building a new capital dedicated to this radical belief. But such a drastic shift created tension, confusion, and resistance, and after his death, his legacy was almost entirely erased, his name struck from records, his monuments dismantled, as if Egypt itself rejected his vision. A reminder that even a god-king could not always control the forces he unleashed. And then there is the haunting story of Tutankhamun, the boy king whose life and death remain shrouded in mystery, ascending to the throne at a young age, restoring the old gods after the chaos of Akhenaten's reign, only to die suddenly before reaching adulthood, his tomb hidden and nearly untouched for centuries, until its discovery in 1922 revealed treasures beyond imagination, gold, jewels, chariots, and artifacts preserved in stunning detail. Yet alongside this discovery came whispers of a curse, tales of misfortune and death surrounding those who entered the tomb, fueling a narrative that blurred the line between myth and reality. But what if these stories are not just superstition? What if they reflect a deeper understanding of fear, a psychological barrier designed to protect what lay within? Because tombs were not just resting places, they were sealed worlds, protected by spells, traps, and warnings meant to deter intruders. Yet many were still looted, their treasures stolen, their sanctity violated, revealing a darker truth about the society that created them. That even in a civilization obsessed with eternity, greed and desperation could not be contained. As time moved forward, the strength of Egypt began to falter, not through a single catastrophic collapse, but through a slow erosion of power, internal divisions weakening the unity that once defined it, corruption spreading through the administration, economic strain reducing the ability to maintain its vast infrastructure, and external threats growing stronger as foreign powers saw opportunity in Egypt's vulnerability. Invasions from the Sea Peoples, conflicts with Libyans and Nubians, and eventually domination by the Assyrians, Persians, and later the Greeks under Alexander the Great, each wave of conquest reshaping the identity of Egypt, blending cultures while erasing parts of its past, until the once divine authority of the pharaoh became little more than a symbol, and even that faded under Roman rule. Yet even as the empire fell, its mysteries endured, because ancient Egypt did not simply disappear, it transformed into legend, into myth, into something that continues to captivate and unsettle us to this day. Archaeologists uncover hidden chambers within pyramids using modern technology, revealing spaces untouched for thousands of years, inscriptions that remain undeciphered, suggesting knowledge we have yet to fully understand, rituals hinted at but never fully explained, raising questions that linger in the back of the mind. What did the Egyptians truly believe about the afterlife? What knowledge did their priests guard so carefully? And why do so many of their secrets remain hidden, even after centuries of exploration? Perhaps the answer lies not just in what has been lost, but in what was intentionally concealed, because ancient Egypt was a civilization built on the idea that knowledge is power, and some power is too dangerous to be shared. And as we stand in the shadow of their monuments today, gazing up at structures that have defied time itself, we are left with an unsettling realization that despite all our advancements, all our technology, all our attempts to uncover the past, there are still secrets buried beneath the sands that may never be revealed, and maybe, just maybe, they were never meant to be, because some mysteries are not waiting to be solved. They are waiting to be forgotten, and the question is If those secrets were finally uncovered, would we truly understand them, or would we wish we never had?